My favorite line from Marcus Aurelius' Meditations is, "Happiness is possible even in a palace." And I think you'll understand why I like it so much when I translate it into modern speak. Happiness is possible even if you're rich, even if you're wealthy, even if you're powerful, even if you have unlimited access to sex and food. I like this line so much because it turns our intuitions on happiness upside down in two ways. The first is that the palace, right, and everything associated with the palace, wealth, power, fame, luxury, that we think are good things in our lives, Marcus thinks is an impediment to happiness, or can be an impediment to happiness, right? That's why he says, even in a palace, it is possible to be happy. But it also turns our intuitions upside down by suggesting that even in a palace we can be happy, right? That the existence of external impediments to the good life does not mean that happiness is not ultimately in your control, that there is a way to live, even amidst impediments. And I suppose there's no better reminder, there's no better warning of the truth of Marcus's speech and the dangers of the palace. And here, of course, I'm using the palace to describe all these good things that we associate with life than the island that I've traveled to today. So I've come to Capri to visit the ruins of Tiberius and to make this video for you guys. Tiberius was the second emperor of Rome, the adopted son of Caesar Augustus. And in his later years, he moved his whole administrative apparatus from Rome to Capri. And the thing that attracted Tiberius most to Capri was the dramatic cliffs that surrounded the entire island. And I'll give you guys an idea of what I mean. And you can see those cliffs there. And what this meant, according to Suetonius in his Life of Tiberius, is that Tiberius thought that there was only one beach that enabled people to access Capri. And what this meant is that it gave the most powerful man in the world a good that he was very deficient in, which is privacy. So Tiberius, in the later part of his rule, came to Capri to rule out of privacy. But that privacy, which again is usually a good thing, we think about privacy as a good thing, ultimately, I think, caused his demise. Because it was only with the privacy of Capri, its dramatic cliffs and its inaccessibility, that he became a tyrant. He hosted orgies, pedophilia, political tyranny. There's a place on this island called Tiberius's Leap, where he would throw his political opponents and his ex-lovers off of a cliff. Okay, so this is Mad King. Now, of course, Tiberius is an extreme example of how the palace, about how worldly goods can corrupt. But there's a general point that I think Marcus is making here that's relevant to all of our lives. And so the Stoics get this idea about worldly goods that can corrupt from Plato in his Euthydemus, which is one of my favorite dialogues and one of my favorite arguments from Plato. Plato basically shows that all the goods in our lives that we consider to be good, right? Again, good looks, honor, wealth, luxury, food, sex. These are goods which you can have too much of. In other words, we often think about how the lack of money, of status, of beauty can make our lives bad lives, but we don't really think about how the excess of them can make our lives bad. And I'll give you a few clear examples. I think money is a very obvious one. There's so many kids, spoiled kids that I've met, who did not develop their full potentiality because they were expecting an inheritance, right? In dating, if you are a very rich man, if you're a very beautiful woman, the dating market can prioritize those things so much that you may actually find the wrong spouse, right? You might end up attracting the wrong kinds of people. And I find this, so that the whole telos of this argument is that there is only one good that regardless of circumstance, can improve your life. And that is wisdom, right? Wisdom is the ability to live a good life, to know how to act, whether you are rich or poor, ugly or beautiful, healthy or unhealthy. And so the conclusion of the Euthydemus is that the only true good that will always make our lives better is wisdom. And that's a kind of, to put it very colloquially, a skill of dealing with life's circumstances, no matter what circumstances are thrown at us. Yeah, and that concludes my meditation today. Thank you.